In today's video, my friends, we're taking a look at the Dangbei Neo. This is a new name. It's the first time I've reviewed a Dangbei product, but I have to say the picture quality is exceptional. This is a 1080p Full HD projector. Let's take a closer look. Don't forget to hit the red button to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up and click the notification bell to get my next video first. So this is the Neo. It comes in quite a small box because it's quite a small projector. It weighs under 2 kilos, and in the box itself you get the projector and you also get a power cable and also a smart remote control, which does have quick access buttons to Netflix, Prime Video and YouTube. There's also a user manual, and so it's quite a nice little package. I think the projector looks really smart. On the back you've got your power input, a LAN port, you've also got optical, HDMI and USB. The front of the projector is also pretty simple. In fact, I really like the design. It's clean and it looks really good. You also have there your auto sensor camera for autofocus and keystone. Now this can be mounted onto a tripod, or you can just pop it on the side, whichever you would prefer. I've got it up on my tripod and it's projecting onto a 100-inch screen. This is it during the day, and as I lower the blind you can see how that picture pops, and obviously it makes a massive difference. Definitely without a doubt, this is only 540 ISO lumens and it does struggle in full daylight, but as long as you've only got ambient light, then it does a really good job. You don't need it to be fully dark, but obviously, like with any projector, the darker the better. But it does deliver a really impressive image. When you turn the projector on, you're presented with a home screen. I'll go through that in a little bit more detail. There's access to your various inputs, which again is very straightforward and easy to operate, and you've got a setting screen, which again is incredibly straightforward. The projector can be desk, ceiling, or rear and front mounted, so therefore you can project from any position. There's also smart keystone correction and smart autofocus. With keystone correction, there are a few different options. There's auto keystone, manual keystone, and advanced. In advanced, you can have it to fit the screen and you can have obstacle avoidance, and I'll show you that in just a second. With auto keystone correction, I found that it worked okay. It wasn't brilliant, it was slower than a lot of projectors, and it didn't always give me a perfectly straight image. I much preferred to go for the manual option because that just worked better all of the time. This is the actual length of time that it takes for it to keystone, and as you can see, it gets the focus, and you think it's going to work. You can see that it's just hanging over the edge of the screen at the moment, and now it's auto keystoned it, but it hasn't made it perfectly straight. But that's no worries. You can go into manual, and then you've got the option to drag the corners to the 4 corners of the screen and make it perfectly straight and fit your screen. As I mentioned earlier, this is on a 100-inch screen, and for a projector of this size, it's producing a pretty bright image. So the moving to the 4 corners is very straightforward. This has a 30% auto keystone correction, so that means that the projector can be off at an angle at 30%, but as I said, it may need some tweaks in the manual adjustments, but that's no hassle to do at all. So I tried to test out the obstacle avoidance feature, and I did get some mixed results. When I had an obstacle right in front of the screen, it didn't work very well, and it didn't avoid that obstacle at all. I moved the obstacle slightly over to the right, so it was outside of the red frame of the projector, and then that worked a lot better, and it did actually give me a perfectly good image and avoided that. So that is really good for a projector at this price point. I mentioned about the operating system, and this does have the Netflix license built into it, and so therefore you can access things like Netflix and Prime and YouTube right out of the box, and there's even shortcuts on the remote control for using those things. Now, I do have to say that the operating system being Linux-based is a little bit disappointing. On one hand, you've got the license to Netflix, which is great, but on the other, you've not got access to the Google Play Store, and so therefore you probably just need to plug a Fire Stick in anyway. So it seems on what you gain on one hand, you're losing on the other. But that is actually just a small factor, because most of the time I use a separate device anyway, whether that be my cable box or my Apple TV. There's a really good autofocus feature, which is either automatic or it's manual, and both work really well, and I didn't have any issues at all with those. What about picture quality? Well, this is what surprised me a lot. The picture quality is surprisingly good. It feels really natural, the colors are very, very good, and the whole image feels like an image of a projector worth a lot more money. The colors are bright and vivid and crisp, and the general picture is just impressive. Now obviously you're limited to it being just 1080p, but if 1080p is a good quality, well then probably 95% of what you watch will be in 1080p. Now, it didn't really matter what I put through the projector, whether that be SDR content or HDR content, everything looked pretty good. The focus in all of the four corners also looks really good, and so therefore the overall quality of that lens can be assured. If I was being hypercritical, I would say that the contrast ratio on this projector is a little on the low side. There is no publicized figure as to what the contrast ratio is, and that probably leads me to believe it is slightly low. But for the majority of the things that you watch, it doesn't really become that noticeable. There are the odd dark scenes where you will notice it though. Audio is provided by two 6-watt speakers, and I would say that they do a pretty good job. Here's a quick example. There's certainly enough bass for such a small machine, and that is quite impressive, and the highs and the mids are not too bad either, so that's perfectly adequate. What about some of the other specs? So as I mentioned, this is a 1080p Full HD projector. It has 540 ISO lumens, and it does support HDR10 and HLG. The two dual 6-watt speakers with Dolby Audio support really do give a pretty impressive job for the size of the projector, although again I would always recommend that you go for a separate sound system that will give you much more of a movie feel. The connections on the back are HDMI to USB, DC power in, audio and a LAN port. This projector has one of the lowest latencies of any projector in its class at just 30 milliseconds, which means that it's perfectly fine for gaming. The operating system is a Linux-based operating system, which means it uses less power than normal, and you have a DLP 0.33-inch DMD chip. The LED light source will give you up to 30,000 hours of lifespan, and it measures just around 8 inches by 6 inches by 4 inches high, and the weight is 3.13 pounds or just around 1.4 kilograms. And one more huge benefit with this projector is the noise level. It has an incredibly low noise level of just 24 decibels, which means you barely hear it even in quieter scenes. So I do have to say that overall I am pretty impressed with this projector because of the main thing, which is the picture quality. The pictures and the colours are vibrant and crisp, and that is really what you really want from your projector. One thing that I would say is I was disappointed with the operating system. I think it's great to have Netflix, Prime Video and YouTube all via the remote control and all officially licensed. However, with the lack of Google Play Store, you do need to plug another device into it anyway, and so therefore it almost negates the need to have those licenses in the first place. But what I would say overall, if you're looking in this type of price band for a really well-performing, great picture quality 1080p projector that you can take anywhere and use pretty much to display anything, then this might be the one for you. Guys, that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Any questions, just leave them in the comments and I'll do my best to answer them. And I really look forward to seeing you on the next video.